This story is titled Invitation to Work. The civilization of Hearthstead was founded on the principle of welcome. No one in Hearthstead ever wrote a resume or endured an interview. One simply received an invitation when the community sensed a potential opening for connection, growth, and contribution. Workplaces were organic, designated spaces for people to try new skills, find their rhythm, and fully integrate without the expectation of specialized competence. Ilara had always admired the Hearthstead bakery from a distance. Its display window, often filled with miniature works of edible art, seemed intimidatingly perfect. So, when a creamy envelope bearing the bakery's gold seal arrived in her mail, she felt a familiar flutter of anxiety mixed with curiosity. The note inside was simple. Dear Ilara, we've made space for you to come and see. No expectations, just an opportunity to measure, mix, and meet us. Your work begins next Monday. Come as you are. Signed, the Hearthstead Specialty Bakery. She arrived promptly, her hands slightly clammy. Unlike typical apprenticeships, Ilara wasn't led to a workstation teeming with activity, but to a pristine, quiet corner counter. A baker named Silas, whose hands were dusted with what looked like edible glitter, greeted her warmly. Welcome, Ilara. This corner is yours, Silas said, indicating a spacious, uncluttered counter. We know a lot of people like to master one thing fully before moving to the next. That's what this space is for. No rush, ever. Silas explained the plan for her first week. Cupcakes. Monday was solely dedicated to mise en place for the vanilla batter. Ilara spent 4 hours weighing sugar, flour, and butter, and organizing them into tiny, perfectly labeled bowls. Silas never corrected her when she had to weigh the flour 3 times to be sure of the number. He simply demonstrated, again, the trick of using a level scoop, his movements slow and clear. On Tuesday, the focus was the wet ingredients. It took Ilara the entire morning to correctly separate a dozen eggs without breaking the yolks. By the afternoon, she was on to creaming the butter and sugar, a process that required patience she didn't realize she possessed. Silas stressed that the mixture must be pale and fluffy, like a cloud after a long journey. Ilara produced 3 batches that looked merely pale, but Silas encouraged her to keep trying until the 4th batch finally had the correct airy texture. Wednesday was mixing and pouring. The challenge wasn't the mixer, a machine she could easily manage, but the rhythm of incorporating the dry ingredients into the wet ones. Ilara, often distracted, repeatedly forgot to scrape down the sides of the bowl. By the end of the day, she had poured 8 test batters into liners, and Silas had only tasted 1, nodding approvingly before declaring a successful day of mixing. By Thursday, she was making her first full batch of saleable vanilla cupcakes, managing the whole process from weighing to baking. She learned that a slow learner doesn't mean a poor learner, just one who requires the repetition to become certain. Friday was the much-anticipated frosting and decorating. Silas gave her a piping bag, thick with buttercream. Today, he announced, we only learned the swirl. Just one type, the classic rosette. Ilara's first 20 attempts were crooked, lopsided, or collapsed entirely. Silas didn't ask her if she wanted to work on a real cupcake until she had practiced on parchment paper for 2 hours. He left the room momentarily to let her pause without feeling watched when her hand cramped. She finally achieved a recognizable, if slightly uneven, rosette on her 28th try. Perfect, Silas declared, even though it wasn't. You now own the vanilla cupcake, Ilara. We'll start with chocolate next week. But if you want to stay on rosettes, that's fine too. Your space here is waiting for you. Ilara wiped her hands clean, feeling the unfamiliar, pleasant ache of focused work. She hadn't earned her job by competing for it. She had been invited to discover it. And in the quiet, patient corner of the bakery, she realized she was not just learning a skill, but finding her place in the gentle rhythm of Hearthstead.